On this video today, I am going to talk to you about how broke can make you rich. And I did a video recently called From Zero to Rich, right? And talked about how in the last 4.5 years or so, our business has generated over $41 million, et cetera, et cetera. And in that video, I commented on the fact that when I was broke, I had a friend of mine who loaned me $4,000 a month for 2 years. Man, that comment got so much hate. And it's okay, I don't mind the hate. I have very broad shoulders. Okay, so I can take it. But it got so much hate, and I felt sad for the people who's like, okay, I'm done listening to this video right now because who has friends that loan them $4,000 a month? And that's one question you could ask. But is it the only question you could ask? Is it even the best question you could ask? Well, who has friends? Well, of course you made money. You had friends who loaned you $4,000 a month. Of course, you couldn't fall down if you wanted to. Well, maybe that's true, but maybe a better question would be, how does a person develop a relationship with another person to the point where that other person trusts them enough to loan them $4,000 a month for 2 years? What kind of person, here's a good question, what kind of person would I have to become in order to have a friend who has the ability and the willingness to loan me $4,000 a month for 2 years? And so I think, and the reason I'm talking about this even before I get into this, because I think, unfortunately, for some of you, bless your hearts, I love you, God knows I do, and I want the best for you. But some of you, the only exercise you ever get is jumping to conclusions. And it's like you're so easily triggered. And like you get out of kilter so fast, like you can't even gain your equilibrium, and you think the problem is out there. But that response shows that the problem is not out there. The problem's inside. And so let me say this about my dear friend who loaned me $4,000 a month for 2 years. And if I fell again, he'd probably do the same thing if he had the wherewithal, which he does, right? But before that friend loaned me $4,000 a month for 2 years, 5 years before that, he had a business that had been losing money for 7 years. I taught him a business model that he used to build a business that did $12 million a year, and it was doing $12 million a year when he loaned me $4,000 a month. He was in a position to loan me $4,000 a month for 2 years because of a seed that I had sown into his life 5 years earlier. But nobody asked that question. And by the way, I don't need those people to feel good about me. That's not why I'm having the conversation. I'm having the conversation about how broke can make you rich, because I'm thinking about people who have businesses that generate a lot of revenue and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. And then I started thinking about that, and then I started thinking about all these comments. Like, people think that somehow because a friend of mine loaned me $4,000 a month for 2 years, that somehow that disqualifies, well, the bed was made for you, like you just had it made in the shade. Well, first of all, I had to pay the money back. He didn't give me $4,000 a month. Are y'all with me? And when he was struggling in his business, I've given him money. He's my covenant brother. We're like this. We're family. It's what we do. And when we have the ability to help somebody that we love, we help them. But he had the ability to help me because I had already helped him. And he had the willingness to help me because I had already helped him. What kind of person do I have to become in order to have friends like that? See, the scripture says he that hath friends must show himself friendly. It didn't say he that hath friends must feel friendly. It didn't say he that hath friends must proclaim himself friendly. It says show. You gotta it's gotta show up somewhere. Anyway, so I was thinking about this because I think about how many people, we have a bunch of people who fill out applications to work with become one of our coaching clients, and they'll fill out a form and they'll say, yeah, I made $300,000 last year. But they don't even have enough money to buy a $15,000 or $25,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 coaching program. I'm like, okay, something's wrong. Something's missing. You're generating all this revenue, but you never have any money. That's not me being condescending. I'm just saying there's something that's missing somewhere. And I believe a part of what's missing is what Damon John calls the power of broke. And I don't know if any of you read Damon John's book, The Power of Broke, but it's really, really an interesting concept. How Damon John, in this book, The Power of Broke, he talks about how being broke can actually be an advantage. But then again, when you think about the law of polarity, being broke has to be an advantage, right? Because every disadvantage has to have an equal advantage on the opposite side, right? And so how can being broke make you rich? That's a good question, right? Well, I think first of all, when you're broke, it gives you the opportunity to hate poverty and all the paths that lead to poverty, right? Like, if you've never been poor, you might think, oh, poverty is odd. If you've been rich your whole life, you might think, well, that's odd. You might think it's interesting. You might think it's like something to be avoided, but you don't hate it, right? Even middle-class people, a lot of middle-class people don't hate poverty. They're just like, okay, well, yeah, I just want to stay away from that. I'll just keep my good job and maintain my good credit, but they don't hate poverty. And I believe that sometimes what happens is when the pendulum swings, it goes all the way over here to poverty, and all of a sudden it's like you so poor you can't even pay attention, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, I hate this. I hate not knowing where my next meal is coming from. I hate not knowing if I'm going to be able to pay the electric bill or the water bill this month. I hate not knowing if my car is going to get repossessed, or worse, me possessed, right? I hate that. I hate having to tell my children no every time they ask me for something. And so I'm going to do something about this. Right? And see, I had a lot of practice being poor. When I was growing up, I'm the second of 7 brothers. My parents never lived in really nice houses, never bought a nice car, never bought a new car the whole time I lived in their house. An expensive car for us growing up was like a $500 car, right? And then you buy it, and then you put a transmission in it, or you put an engine in it, or whatever it needed, you'd fix it, right? And so I had a lot more practice being poor. But even when my children were young, Dad, can I have no? It didn't wait for whatever was coming next, right? Because I knew the thing was going to cost money. And I already knew that the money that I was making was already allocated to pay for stuff we were already paying for, right? And so I would say no oftentimes before I even knew what the question was, just so they could get used to hearing no, because life says no more than it says yes. At least that was my philosophy, right? That's not necessarily true, but it was true for me because I believed it was true. And so I created an experience of life that made it more true in my life, even though it's not true in everybody. That's not true in my life anymore, right? No, life tells me yes way more often than it tells me no, right? So, but part of the reason is because when I was poor, I didn't like it. I wasn't okay with it. There are some people who are broke and they just resolved that this is the way it's supposed to be. Well, you can do that, but I would recommend against it. I would recommend that you develop a level of hatred for poverty so that you beat it so far away from the door it can't make its way back to your house in your children's lifetime. And so for me, the idea of my children having to start where I started when I left my parents' home, or my granddaughter having to start where I started, that's unacceptable to me. And so I hate poverty so much that I don't care if I don't watch television. I don't care if I don't listen to music. I don't care if I don't join a bowling league or hang out and watch the game. I don't care about any of that stuff. If I'm broke, I don't care about any of those distractions until I get poverty away from my door, right? And so broke can make you rich. My passion, Myron, the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, fortunately, I don't love money. I love people. And I love people so much I use money to love them sometimes. See, and what a lot of people do is they'll pretend to hate money, but all of their decisions are made by money, right? What they do, what they don't do, what they can do, what they can't do, who they help, who they don't help, who they won't help, what they give, what they won't give. All of that's determined by how much money they have. None of my decisions are determined by the money. Why? Because I'm not going to have money as my master. Myron, the Bible says no man can serve 2 masters. Okay, but what is a master? A master is somebody who tells you what you can and cannot do. And money was way more my master when I didn't have any than it is now that I got plenty. I wish I had some help in here. Oh, Lord. And what I'm saying is, some of you if you don't hate poverty enough, you ain't gonna beat it away from the door. I loathe it. The idea of somebody in my family that I love to life and beyond needing something and me not being able to provide it for them is unacceptable to me. Unacceptable. It's not a conversation I'm willing to have. And so I hate poverty so much, I beat it about the head and shoulders to get it away from my door and as far away as possible. So like hate poverty and all the paths that lead to poverty. What are the paths that lead to poverty? Well, there are several that the Bible names clearly, right? One is laziness, right? Laziness is a path that leads to poverty. Not all poor people are lazy, but most lazy people are poor. There are some rich lazy people. Okay, so not all lazy people are poor, but all lazy people are poorer than they need to be. Okay, so number one is laziness. Okay, well, if I become a diligent person, my chances of getting poverty away from my door have increased dramatically because I'm now willing to. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men. Wow, the hand of the diligent maketh rich. Oh, okay. So I actually can do something about this. Do not make the mistake of thinking and believing that you are a victim of your circumstance. You are a victim of your belief systems. You are a victim of what you've accepted. You are a victim of what you are unwilling to fight for. And I know I'm coming kind of strong right now. Not because I ain't mad at you. I'm mad at poverty and doing my best to get you cranked up enough to beat it away from your door. So you got So laziness is a path that leads to poverty. Gluttony is a path that leads to poverty. Think about it. We eat stuff that robs us of our energy to go create solutions for other people that could provide wealth for us and our families. Drunkenness. And you can say drunkenness, getting high, like tripping out, whatever you want to call it. I don't care if it's alcohol, marijuana, mushrooms, LSD, whatever. It is a pathway to poverty. The scripture says, the drunkard and the glutton shall lie down together, and drowsiness will clothe the man with rags. Okay, so let me get this right. I got to be diligent, work hard at what I'm working on. Don't overeat so I don't actually dig my grave with a knife and fork. Don't be a drunkard. Or getting whacked out of I don't have any brain cells to sacrifice on the altar of feeling good. Stay away from that stuff. Dishonesty. It's a pathway that leads to poverty. Because what it does is it tells other people who, by the way, all of the money that you desire and don't have right now, it's in somebody else's pocket. And so dishonesty tells people they can't trust you. And if they can't trust you, they ain't going to do business with you. If they don't do business with you, they're going to keep the money that could be your money if you serve them. It could be your money, but they're going to keep it in their pocket because they don't trust you. And they don't trust you because you're not honest. And your word doesn't mean anything to you. And I've had this conversation with people. If your word means nothing to you, how can you expect your word to mean something to me? And if you'll lie about anything, you'll lie about everything. Well, because what you told me is, when you lie, all you got to do is lie one time, and you've told me everything I need to know about you. You are a liar. Leads to poverty. Adultery is a path that leads to poverty. The scripture says when you commit adultery, your treasure will be in the house of another. What? It's in the Bible. So, if I hate poverty, I'm going to beat poverty and all of the paths of poverty as far away from the door as I possibly can. And this is one way that broke can make you rich. I have been poor. There's nobody in the world that's going to persuade me about the virtues of poverty. Been there, done that, got 2 t-shirts. There's no virtue. It's painful. It's sad. It's disgusting. Not poor people, poverty itself. You're better than that. You're better than that. Your family deserves better than that. Hate poverty. Anyway, I don't have any opinions. If I did, I'd never voice them publicly, as y'all well know. So, how broke can make you rich? Hate poverty and all the paths that lead to poverty. Hack into the pressure of poverty to access creativity. What do I mean, hack into the pressure of poverty? You know that lump you get in your throat when you know the bill is due tomorrow and you have a negative bank balance? You know that feeling you get in your heart and your heart starts palpitating? Myron, the word's palpitate. No, when it's real bad, it's palpitate. You got to add a syllable. It's real bad. It's like, y'all know what I'm talking about. And That feeling, like a lot of times people who have money, what they will do is they will throw money at a problem to avoid having to do the hardest work most people never do. And I just think about a solution. Like when you don't have money, that can be an advantage because now you can tap into a level of creativity that you didn't have when you had money because you didn't need the creativity because you had the money. I tap into the most creativity when I'm stepping outside of my spending, like the most entrepreneurial, the highest level of entrepreneurial creativity that I step into is when I am desiring to buy something that's outside my current comfort spending zone. Did I say that too fast? I kind of did, didn't I? The way I tap into the highest level of creativity that I get to tap into is by tapping into. The way I tap into the way that I tap into my highest level of entrepreneurial creativity is by deciding to buy something that's outside my current comfort spending zone. Right? I remember when I decided to start flying private. I had no idea how much it was going to cost. No idea. But I decided before sometimes I think we'd be better off to just make a decision.
Yes.
And I'm going to research and make sure I'm making the right decision. I didn't make the right decision. I just made the decision, and then I made the decision right. I want to start flying private. I'm never getting on a commercial airliner again. But I said it. I didn't put my foot in my mouth now. I hope I like the taste of leather. Because here we go. Anybody got the salt and pepper to go with that leather? And so I called my friend Gary, and I'm like, Gary, you have access to a jet, don't you? I need to go to Vegas in 2 weeks, and I want to fly private. What can we do? And I'm thinking it's going to cost $25,000 to $30,000. He said, yeah, I got access to a jet. It's only going to cost $60,000. How much? How much? And then he said, yeah, you got to put your big boy pants on. You're going to fly private. I only have big boy. Man, don't you? Get the jet. Right. Now I'm like, okay. I had $60,000, but I didn't want to take $60,000 that's making me money out of where it's making me money and go put it in a plane ride that's going to be over in 3.5 hours. What in the world is that? Right? But I already decided now. So what did I do? I created an offer. I created an offer called a VIP day that back then, when I first created it, was $200,000. Now it's $350,000. I've sold $12 million of that offer in the last 2 years. It's an offer I would have never created if I wouldn't have decided to buy something that was outside my current spending comfort zone. And see, when you come to something that's outside your current comfort spending zone, I have nothing to sell you today. I'm just telling you how this whole thing works in me. It may not work. You may be different. You may be wired a little different, right? This is how I'm wired. And so when I made that decision, it gave me the ability to tap into a level of creativity that I've never tapped into before. And you know what's amazing? I've spent less than $5 million on private air travel. So I've profited in the last 2 years, $7 million profit because I made a decision to buy something that was outside my current comfort spending zone. That's what I mean when I say tap into. Thank you, Jose. That's what I mean when I say hack into the pressure of poverty to access creativity. See, some of you, what happens when you feel the pressure of poverty, you hide from it. Or you anesthetize it by going and watching television.
Yes.
Right? You go do something to make yourself feel better so you don't have to think about it. Is that real?
Yes.
And so, what if you just allowed yourself to sit with the idea that you've got this thing coming up that you got to pay for? It could be an IRS bill. It could be whatever, a vacation. It could be a sick relative that you want to go visit. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but make a decision. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to figure out how to do this thing. I'm going to figure out how to pay for it effortlessly. Right? And then allow yourself to tap into a level of creativity that you've been protecting yourself from, because it makes your brain sweat a little bit too much. So, hack into the pressure of poverty to access a level of creativity you're not going to access any other way. And so, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, Felipe and I, we were playing golf, and like I've been flying private for the last 2 years, and I don't own a jet, and I don't see me owning one like in the next 6 months by any stretch of the imagination. I don't travel enough, right? It's not off the table, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary yet. I would probably have to fly 3 times as much as I'm flying right now for it to make sense to me to own a jet, right? But I was telling him, I said, when I build this software company and we do an exit, which if we get 10,000, when we get to 10,000 customers, we could probably sell it for 300 million. with only 10,000 customers, because that would give us like 10,000 customers would give us about $12 million a year in revenue. And you can sell 20 to 30 times EBITDA on software, right? And so I'm like, when I exit that software company, I'll probably buy a $30 to $40 million jet. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I said, and I know it, and Felipe, when we're just playing golf and we're just having a regular conversation, because he's just a friend of mine. He's not, we're friends. We just play golf together. That's what we do. He's not a business client or anything, but we just talk about stuff. He's like, that's just crazy. Not crazy that I would do it, just like the numbers to him are, but to me, I get, it seems that way, but to me, 40 million, 4 million, 4,000, 400, $4, 400 million, it's all the same. Like, to me, they all represent the same thing. Like, if you think about the 4 levels of value, the lowest level of value is implementation. If you make all your money on the implementation level, you got to do a whole lot more implementing to get to $40 million from wherever you are. But if you operate on the next level, it's a whole lot closer, which is management skills. Like, you use your management skills on the unification level. But when you get up to the communication level and you can learn how to have conversations to create cash flow and create messages that move the masses, now you have something that can generate a whole lot of money in a very short period of time. But when you tap into the highest level of value, which is imagination, now everything that you buy, you're paying for with ideas. And how much does an idea cost? Well, it generally costs the time and effort and energy it took to think it up. Right? And then you just, so when I think about paying for something, I don't think about paying for it by exchanging time for money. So whether I buy a jet or a bottle of water, it's all the same thing. It all costs the same amount. It costs me some of my creativity. And it doesn't really cost me, it costs me according to my creativity, not out of my creativity, because when I tap into the creativity and I create the thing, I don't have less creativity than I had. I'm going to show you on the board. So if I, this is me, right? This is me. Oops, that's not me. Wait, no, update on next launch. There we go. Okay. My buy board is acting goofy. Of course it is. Okay. Exit page. Yes. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here and start talking again. So, but what, no, it's going to reset. Okay, cool. So this is me. This is me. Okay. And I decide, I see this car that I want to buy. It's an SUV. Okay. So if I'm, stop laughing at my art, y'all. Okay. If I decide, okay, I'm going to buy this, and I'm working on the implementation level, what I have to do is I have to use my muscles over time. So I go exchange some time, which is a limited asset, for some money, which is another limited asset. So when I go exchange the time for the money, I don't have the time anymore, but I have the money. When I go exchange the money for the car, now I have the car, and I don't have the time, and I don't have the money. So what I've done is I've exchanged two. Get it back. There we go. So I've exchanged two limited assets for a limited liability. Are y'all tracking? But, ooh, this is so good. Y'all better not laugh at my art either. Ooh, I should have done that in yellow, but I'll do it like this. And I come up with an idea. And this idea, when I exchange the idea for money, I get the money, but I still have the idea. Are you tracking? So when I tap into my creativity, when I decide to buy something, I don't get poorer, I get richer. If I'm down here, operating here, every time I buy something, I get poorer. When I operate up here, every time I buy something, I get richer. Because I create an idea that pays me money. When it pays me the money, I take the money that it paid me, I go buy the car. But guess what? This can make me more money to replace the money that I just spent. So now I still have the idea, I have the money. And now I have the idea, I have the money, and I have the car. This is why tapping, like being poor, being broke can be an advantage. Why? Because it gives you the ability to tap into a level of creativity you can't tap into when you have money sometimes, because if you have money, you just say, I'll just pay somebody to do that. Oh, I'll just pay somebody to do that. I'll just pay somebody to do that. And I see all these entrepreneurs, they get started in business and they don't have any skills. And so they're paying people that they can't manage because they don't know what the person's supposed to be doing. right? And so they outsource their marketing, they outsource their sales, they outsource their fulfillment, they outsource, and the next thing you know, all their money's outsourced. And the outsource is costing more than the income is bringing in. And I get that ideologically that's a good idea, but it would be a really good idea to learn how to do something. I'm so glad that when I started selling stuff on the internet, I'm so glad that I built my first website in Microsoft Front Page. It was so painful. It took me 30 days to build this website, hoping it was going to make me some money. It took me another 2 weeks to figure out, like, how do you connect a credit card processor thingy, whatchamacallit, to this? Because back then, just sign up a scrape account. No, you had to have a merchant account, a payment gateway, and one other thing. I forgot what, authentication something, or no. You had to have all this. I'm like, I don't even know what these words mean. I don't know what they mean, but I got to learn. So I'm like all day, 8 hours a day. Like, okay, build this website. You have to have an index.html. What does that even mean? Everybody's like, back in those days, everybody assumed who was teaching people how to build websites that everybody they were talking to knew everything what they meant. I didn't know what an index.html was. Oh, it's your root file. I don't know what that means. Like you start at the beginning, right? So it took me forever to figure it out, but guess what I did? I built my first website. It made money. So when I hired somebody to build websites for me, I knew what I was looking for. You tracking? And so many people, you want to hire somebody to outsource something you've never done, so you can't even manage people. You don't know if they're doing a good job or not, because you don't even know what to expect from them. So tap into, like, not having money to throw at a problem will make you a better person. So let being broke inspire you to learn the skills necessary and tap into the level of creativity necessary to make you wealthy. Okay, I think this is probably ringing a bell for somebody somewhere in the world, maybe. Okay, so hack into the pressure of poverty to access a level of creativity. Have a higher level of poverty to multiply your intensity. What does that mean? Higher level of poverty. Take your poverty floor and raise it, and take your wealth ceiling and obliterate it. It'll change your life. What do you mean? Take your poverty floor and raise it. Okay. So can any of you on YouTube right now, or anybody in this room, can you remember when you got your first job? Remember your first job? Remember how excited you were? I'm going to have my own money. I don't have to ask my mom and dad. I'm going to have my own money. It's going to be great. I'll be able to buy those Converse All-Stars, right? Okay. That'll tell you how old I am, right? Okay. There was no, Nike, what's that? There was no such thing. Okay. Anyway. So I remember my first job. I remember how much money I made. How much money did you make? Put it in the chat. I remember how much money I made my first job. My first job, I made $1.55 an hour. Oh yeah, I got my own money. And the reason I got the job was I asked my mom to buy me some Converse All-Stars. And she said, if you think I'm buying you some $13 sneakers, you are out your mind. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll get a job by my own $13 sneakers. I got a job, and guess what? When I got paid, I'm like, I ain't buying no $13 sneakers with this check. I'm going to get me some Converse Coaches. They're only $7, right? So I didn't get the All-Stars. I got the Coaches, right? Okay, so some of y'all, you can relate, right? And so $1.55 an hour. Now, here's what's interesting about that. There's no universe in which I am willing to work for $1.55 an hour anymore. It's unacceptable. It doesn't matter how hungry I get. Not $1.55, I ain't doing it. Right. So what is the amount of money you made at your first job that there's no universe in which you'd be willing to settle for anymore? Okay. Because that tells you something about you. What does it tell you? That you have a standard. What does that mean? You have a poverty floor. And it's higher than it was when you got your first job. But guess what? It's lower than it could be. So what if $1.55 an hour for me? Okay. Unacceptable. What if you decided, I am unwilling to work for less than $100 an hour? I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying, like, what if you decided that? Well, here's what would happen. All of the opportunities to make less than that would no longer be in your field of vision. And you'd start more opportunities that make that amount and more would come into your field of vision. Why? Because it became the thing you're looking for. Right? See, I believe that one of the reasons so many high-level entrepreneurs are broke at a higher level is because their poverty floor is too low. My poverty floor is very high. What does that mean? I remember within the last couple of years, I looked at my accounts and I had less than $2 million. And I felt like I was broke. Like, what have I done? Where am I right now? Now, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and some of you are probably going, oh, he's just flexing. No. Think about it. You have a standard. You have a number where if your money gets down below that number, you feel like, I better step it up, a little bit too much Netflix, up, a little bit too much golf, up, a little bit too much basketball. Maybe I better go do something a little different. Yeah, I better go do, right? So we all have one. We all have a floor. And the only person who determined our poverty floor is us. So what's going to happen when you have a higher poverty floor? Well, now, let's say your poverty floor becomes, when I have less than $100,000 in my accounts, I'm like, oh no, I better get stepping, right? Or I had a month where I made less than $30,000. I better get stepping. I made less than $50,000. I better get stepping. So we all determine that. Here's what happened though. We determined it unconsciously. So because we determined it unconsciously, we're unconscious of it. And so until I started talking to you about it, you probably never thought about your poverty floor before. But some people are okay. There are entrepreneurs who are okay with letting their bank accounts get down below, whatever number that is, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, 6 million, whatever, and it gets down below that, like, there are people, if their bank accounts got down below $100 million, they're like, oh my goodness, I got to get busy, I got to step it up. Not because I'm spending that much money. I don't spend anywhere near as much money as we generate. I'm not even close. It's not the point. The point is I've created an environment where, if you imagine this. You make millions of dollars and then you're broke. And then you're living on borrowed money. And then you used to be the richest person all your friends knew, and now you're the poorest, right? And then all of a sudden you say, you bounce back. You're like, that was terrible. You know what's worse than being poor your whole life? Being poor and then getting rich and then being poor again. That's more worse, right? Okay. And so I said, I am not going to do that anymore. Okay. One of the ways that I can keep from that from happening again is to elevate my poverty floor so that it's so high that if I get down below a certain amount, it's like all the alarms start going off. Right? Alarms start going off. There is no number. There's no magic number. You just have yours. I have mine. We all have our number. And so what happens in your life when you say to yourself, never again will I allow all of my accounts to get below $10,000. Never again will I let all my accounts get below $100,000. Never again will I let all my accounts get below $250,000 or $500,000. Or to me, my new level, poverty for me now equates to having less than, and then you give it, or poverty income equates to me making less than X amount of dollars in a month. See how it just, you made the standard. If you made it, you can make a new one. You can get rid of the old one and make a new one. And I'm telling you, if you do it this way, poverty can, being broke can make you really, really rich. Because the idea of finding an apartment building that say, I need $3 million as a down payment, and I don't have the $3 million, to me, would create anxiety. I know that sounds goofy. However, even though that would create anxiety, I wouldn't even use my $3 million to make the down payment. I would go create an offer and make the $3 million. And then I still have the $3 million and the offer, and I'll have the apartment building. Right? So all of us can do that though, but most of us don't. Why? Because nobody ever told us to, and we never thought of it before. But this is coming from a guy who was rich and then poor and now rich again and don't ever plan on going back to being poor. And I'm telling you what I've learned from that so you don't have to experience the same thing. Okay, cool. So elevate your poverty floor. If you have a higher level of poverty, what happens is it multiplies your intensity. When you start getting close to that number, or you get below that number, your I've got to get to work mode kicks into high gear. Okay, and then have a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality instead of the other way around. What? Have a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality instead of the other way around. What does that mean? One of the biggest reasons aspiring entrepreneurs never get rich is because they spend too much of their money attempting to look rich.
Say that again.
Did y'all pick up what I put down? One of the biggest reasons aspiring entrepreneurs never get rich is because they spend too much of their money attempting to look rich. What you need other people to know about you is keeping it from ever coming true. oh snap, right? You go out and you make 500 grand and you think, oh my goodness, I'm rich now. I'm going to go buy that car. I want $500,000. You're going to go buy a car? Baby, don't do that. Look broke and be rich. And I know, because some of y'all are looking at me, but Myron, you have nice cars. I know. But watch this. I have nice cars that I don't need them at all. I just bought them because I like them. Don't need them. And a couple of them I paid cash for, which I don't ever like to do, but the bank was getting on my nerves taking too long, so I just wrote a check. And it didn't hurt me. It didn't, why am I telling you this? Like, I don't even like paying cash for cars. It's dumb. Are y'all tracking? I bought my Rolls Royce and my wife's Escalade on the same day. And the bank was just taking too long to get back with me. And I don't like hassle. And I don't want to wait for phone calls. And I don't want to do a whole lot of back and forth. And I know that sounds crazy. I'm just like, okay, I'm done waiting on these people. This is stupid. I've got great credit. I've got pockets full of money. And y'all are taking 100 years to approve a loan? This is dumb. I'll just write a check. And I'll just go borrow the money against the cars. And I just never got around to borrowing the money against the cars. But my point is, yeah, I have nice cars. But I could have nicer cars than the ones I got. I could. If I wanted to buy a Bugatti, I could go buy a Bugatti and pay cash for it. I could. But why would I? I could already own a jet. But why would I? Just be sitting there, because I sure ain't fixing to have nobody on my jet just doing all kinds of crap. No. When I buy my jet, it ain't getting leased out. It's going to sit there until me and my family get ready to go somewhere. Okay. So you say, Myron, what's your point? My point is, you're so much better off living below your means. I live so far below my means. So far below my means. Our business generates 7 figures a month. I pay myself like a very modest salary. To some of you, if I told you, it's like I pay myself no more now than I paid myself when I was making a tenth what we're making now. Why? Because I've got a poverty fantasy and a prosperity reality. I'd rather look broke. Now, generally speaking, if you saw me out in public at the golf course, you would not know that I'm some rich dude. You would just say, oh, there goes a guy playing golf, right? Right? Because when I'm in the marketplace and I'm attracting the high level entrepreneurs, yeah, I've got a little bit of flash and a little bit, like even this watch, somebody gave me this watch. My very first pair of expensive sneakers, somebody gave them to me. Like when I say expensive, they were like $90, right? That was back in the day. Like somebody gave them to me. I'm not spending $90 on a pair of tennis shoes. Now I do, but back then, no. Like look poor and be rich. I'd rather look poor and be rich than be poor and look rich. So many people want to be poor and look rich. Yeah, you want to have all the bling and you want to have all the fancy cars with the wheels and the this and the that and the expensive designer clothes. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff unless it's making you poor. Stop wearing your wealth. Myron, but you don't understand. Money talks. Yeah, money talks, but wealth whispers, baby. Wealth whispers. And stop being so conspicuous. And just keep it quiet as it's kept. You want to know something funny? I was making $70,000 a month before anybody in my family knew I was rich. And that was like 70,000 rich. New rich. Right? I was making $70,000 a month before anybody in my family. My wife and kids knew, but nobody else in my family. My parents didn't. My siblings didn't know. Nobody knew. My friends didn't know I was making that kind of money. I lived in a simple house that I bought for $175,000. Had a nice little GMC, whatever that thing was called. It was like a Chevy Blazer. Just doesn't let poverty create wealth for you. Look broke as a joke and then take that money and invest it in something that's going to make more money. If you will do these 4 things that I share with you today, I'm telling you, being broke can make you rich. Not kind of rich, sort of rich, maybe rich, a little rich. I'm talking about really rich. You'll apply these 4 things. So allow yourself to tap into the power of poverty as your path to prosperity. I promise you, you'll be glad you did. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you on your quest to create wealth for your family. In the meantime, in between time, we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Yes.
Can you speak to the importance